Welcome to Modern Musings, conversations with the maiden, mother, and crone, looking at ourselves and the world through the lens of the 21st century. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Modern Musings. If you are just now tuning in to us, we are three women that like to talk about pretty much anything. I am your hostess, Amber Jones, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Cindy Murray and Kristen Blakely.
Hello.
Hello, and tell them why you sound so funny.
Yes, I sound so funny because I am calling in this episode. I am out of town.
She is just phoning it in.
Dialing.
Yeah.
Dialing it. No, dialing it in is when you hone in on it.
Well, maybe she's honing in.
Oh, well, that could be.
Dialing in
Okay,
and
that's
phoning
true.
in.
Okay, that's true. That's true. Okay. I'll take that. I'll take that as an answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
We call it smiling and dialing at work. 'Cause, call center
Oh.
lingo.
Yeah.
Smiling and dialing.
Smiling and dialing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that means put your
Okay,
big girl panties
well.
on and make the next call.
Well, okay. My panties are on and I'm smiling and dialing.
That's good because I don't know. I don't want to know if they're not. Okay.
Well,
You could just
yeah.
lie. You could just lie and tell us that they are. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, they are. Oh my gosh, that's funny. So the title of our episode today is called Addiction is Not Just Drugs and Alcohol. So, as when we're thinking of, when we hear the word addiction, a lot of people kind of go towards those things.
Yeah, it really is. That's the first thing you think about when somebody says addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
you're addicted, it says you're addicted to something, like what are you addicted to? What bad substance are you addicted to?
Hmm.
Which I suppose if it is an addiction, it's like technically a bad substance unless you're a
Well, I don't
what
think it's.
did they call it in the 90s? High on life?
Oh yeah, but it's not. Oh well, there are exceptions, but mostly
bad
it's not that it's
substances.
bad.
Yeah.
It's not a bad substance. It's the overuse of it or the dependence on it that makes it. I don't even want to say bad, but harmful.
Mm-hmm.
Harmful. So
Yeah.
I mean, because even good things can be an addiction
Addicting,
and
yeah.
can be harmful, like someone who is addicted to exercise. And and if they're addicted to exercise, exercise is not bad for you. We know this. But if you are addicted to exercise,
You're constantly working out, and that's all that you think about.
and that can cause
Yeah.
physical and emotional problems. So, it's a real addiction.
That's true. It's not limited to substances. It's all about compulsive behavior,
Yes.
loss of control, continuing something despite the negative consequences.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's
Okay.
talk about the compulsive behavior. Or unless you have something else you
No,
want.
yeah, let's go for it.
Okay,
Like,
hit me there with compulsive behavior because I'm like, oh, that's one of my things.
Right. Well, and,
Oh,
people.
for sure, me
yeah,
too.
Yeah. And I want to say, if you're talking about that, we all have what might be termed a micro addiction to certain things. We're compulsively drawn to scrolling on our phone, which is an addiction, by the way.
Yeah.
Playing video games, things like that. And it's the depth of the addiction and the severity of it depends on how it affects your everyday life, right?
Yeah, and I was just sitting here like thinking about like different things, especially like Kristen, especially compulsive things that people do that are that are addicting.
Right.
And, you know, we talk a lot about, like in counseling, we talk a lot about, you know, addictions and everything like that, and compulsive behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like a whole like branch of counseling, addictions counseling.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And it, you know, there's a lot of reasons why someone develops those addictions. They're usually, if and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I am not the trained, educated in psychology, but if I'm not mistaken, those addictions often stem from as a coping mechanism for something else that's going on, like it's masking something else, or they use it to avoid something else, like trauma, PTSD of some sort, or
yeah, definitely. Like you're when you're addicted to something, or you have that compulsive behavior, you're definitely masking like a deeper problem,
right,
like a down at its core problem. And definitely to get, like, say for example, like well gosh, any kind of like behavioral topic or emotional addiction as well,
right,
because there are like a few different kinds of addictions, like behavioral addictions and relationship addictions and like mental pattern addictions.
right, right.
And yeah, you're like deflecting from something else that you're trying to repress in your life
Right.
with these addictions.
Right. So, by that, and I think that's part of why a lot of people still battle, even after they get clean or whatever, they cure the physical addiction or whatever. Part of the reason that they fail or they revert is because they haven't dealt with the things that made them pick up that addiction in the first place. And I'm thinking from personal experience here, because I was a long-term smoker. And we know that nicotine is an addiction. Smoking cigarettes is an addiction. It's not just it's not just for the chemical of nicotine that you're addicted to. You're also addicted to the habit, the physical habit of smoking. And so when
what you do with your hands type thing.
Yes,
yeah.
and your mouth as well. And so and I some of the things that I discovered with my smoking addiction when I quit was, it's not enough to just quit smoking. You have to address those issues too. And so you have to find some other way. Some people start chewing on straws or toothpicks or eating sunflower seeds. That was what my husband did. And you're just replacing one addiction with another until you figure out why it is that you want to do whatever it is you do. And that's a big thing. And I think that's one of the reasons I was successful in stopping smoking 19 years ago and have no desire whatsoever to ever pick up another. I don't even want to smell them on somebody else. And I mean, one of the key components was that I did a lot of self-help in figuring out what triggered my need to smoke, and it was usually stress. I wanted to smoke when I was stressed or I needed to think. It was I would be at work and I'm working on a hard puzzle or something and I can't think through it. So I would get up and I would smoke a cigarette. And in the process of smoking the cigarette, it would kind of clear my brain enough to come back and work again, without feeling frustrated, right? And it wasn't that the act of smoking was making me think better. It was just walking away from the computer for 5 minutes and and thinking about something else so that my brain could refocus and reframe what the problem was. And usually by the time that 5 minutes was over, I would come back and I looked at the problem in a different way, and lo and behold, I solved it, right? So once I learned why that trigger was happening and what I was actually doing when it happened, I found other ways to get that same effect without doing something addictive. So I would get up and swap the laundry or make the bed or, send a text message to somebody or send an email to somebody and take care of another little thing on my to-do list. And then by the time I came back to it, I had the same effect as I did when I smoked. Of course, that's a really simple one to fix, but alcoholism and drug use and gambling addictions and sex addictions and things like that often have far deeper roots. But it's the same idea, is that you have to do that psychological shadow work, if you will, and dig down deep into the core of what you're trying to cover up or what you're trying to not feel. And that's how you get past the addiction. Once you can treat the physical parts of the addiction, but you have to treat the emotional parts of it too.
And then see, that's the sad thing, is that most people don't want to treat that emotional part of the addiction. They don't want to sit down and do the shadow work and do the work and think about, like, why am I doing this?
Right. And it's, I think it's it's classic avoidance. And we all have things that we avoid, right? And it's, but at its deepest root, it's pain avoidance. There's something that's causing you pain and you're avoiding it. But the truth is that you will never get through that pain. You will never get over that pain. It will continue to weigh you down and make you, cause you to make bad decisions as long as you still have it hanging over you. And the only way to get through those kind of things is to actually go through it. You have to let yourself feel it and acknowledge it and know that it's there and understand why it's there. And then you can move through it and let it go. But a lot of people avoid it. They don't want to relive the pain. They don't want to bring that story back up. They, I want to avoid this. I don't, at all costs, I don't want to feel that. But I think you have to acknowledge it and you have to feel it to let it go. And that, that's something they talk about a lot in self-help and psychology circles, about actually feeling the pain and allowing yourself to feel the emotions and acknowledge the emotions and go through it.
Yes, for sure.
So what other kinds, we've mentioned a lot of different kinds of addictions. Are there, I know there's a lot of them that we haven't mentioned. What are some of the ones, and you mentioned the different kinds of addictions. Why don't you fill us in on what these different kinds are and what some of them are?
Well, so behavioral process addiction, that's pretty self-explanatory, right? It involves behaviors. So you mentioned exercise addiction, that would fall under behavioral process. You mentioned
sexual addictions. I assume that one would although it also,
sexual addiction would fall under more of a relationship.
Okay.
Emotional type addiction.
Well,
I believe.
Even if it's not tied to relationships, I'm thinking strictly of people who are not monogamous. You know what I mean?
Well, I would say
there's different. Yeah.
like I say, if you have these three categories, like a process addiction, I mean, I suppose you could consider sex a process. I don't know.
Well,
But
okay. Answer me this: do all addictions cause an endorphin rush or a dopamine hit?
yes, pretty much. Like
Okay.
at the core of it, it's like compulsive behavior, loss of control, continuing something despite negative consequences.
Okay. So let's talk about the dopamine effect. What dopamine? You've studied that, correct?
Mhm.
What does dopamine do to the brain, and why does dopamine things that cause a dopamine hit or a dopamine high, however you want to look at it, an increase in your dopamine levels? How does that cause an addiction? Dopamine do in the body, and why? Just coming from the psychological standpoint, I mean, I know what the answers are, but I want you to share that with our listeners.
Okay, yeah. So, dopamine is like, I guess, kind of like the pleasure chemical of the
Mm-hmm.
brain. Although, like that's a bit misleading because it's like it's more about motivation and learning and reinforcement. It
Right.
teaches your brain what to repeat.
Okay, and it also is a painkiller, a natural painkiller. Is that right?
Yes.
So like it kind of helps dampen. I don't know what chemicals in the brain would cause pain, but like if you had emotional pain or physical pain, then using something like an opioid for your pain, what it's doing is activating your dopamine sensors,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
so
it's
yeah,
it's like a neurotransmitter, and it helps your brain like notice things like, hey, this feels good.
yeah, it's
Or, hey, I want to this feels good, I want to feel it again.
uh-huh.
And
Okay.
then it kind of starts driving that behavior, like, let's go do that again, it feels so good.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah. And then it
for
wants
example.
more and more, right?
Mhm. Yeah, it's definitely like, say, because I know we talk a lot about food addiction and food related things
Yep.
on the podcast, and I know I've mentioned before that I have a binge eating disorder.
Right.
And so it's like the same scenario with, because you were talking about your smoking addiction, and I'm sure we'll
I
make Kristen talk about one of her addictions
I
here in a
have
minute.
I have a food addiction thing as well because,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people do. I mean, we turn to comfort, we're in a bad way. I'm having a bad
Mhm.
day. I'm going to go open that package of cookies or eat that
Yeah.
tub of ice cream or whatever, and
Honestly, that's one of the things like that's really current now is so many people struggle with that because
right. Because
now
well,
they
it's easy.
validate things with food.
Right.
Like treat yourself.
Treat
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah.
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 You had a bad day at work.
Mhm.
Work was stressful. Let's get a treat.
Mhm. And I mean, and it makes you feel good because, carbs make you happy. They turn into sugar in your body, and the sugar lights up all your little dopamine
Yeah,
neurotransmitters.
that
And
and like other processed foods, that
yes.
you take a bite of that, like donut, and it's like you close your eyes a little bit because you get that rush,
Yeah,
especially if it's
absolutely.
like a warm, freshly made donut.
Krispy Kreme right off the thing when the little red light's on at the
Uh-huh.
donut shop. Right. Yeah, it's like they open the window and you get high just smelling the sugar coming out of the place, right? Totally.
Yeah, and
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, I need this. This is a reward.
Yeah.
I had such a bad day. I want
Mhm.
this donut.
Mhm.
You take a bite of it and it's your favorite donut in the world, and you close your eyes and you're like, oh my God, it's
Yeah.
so
Well,
good.
and using painkillers like opioids and stuff, they work in much the same way, except
Mhm.
instead of oh, this feels so good, it's like oh, I don't hurt. And like someone who takes them for pain can easily become addicted to them because they have pain. They take the pill, the pain goes away. Oh, I want to take another one because I want that pain to go away, and it becomes a vicious cycle. So okay, go back to. I want to go back to the kinds of addiction again. So you said there was the behavioral processes. So
Is that
those are
Yeah.
things,
compulsion?
huh?
Is that compulsion?
Compulsive things, like
Yes.
Okay.
gambling.
Yeah, compulsion. Okay.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Gambling, internet, scrolling,
Video
compulsion,
games. Okay. Okay.
video games, shopping,
Okay.
spending money.
Okay. Those are okay. I get that. Okay. What is the next category?
So then the next one would be like a relationship and emotional related addictions. Cause so I know you're like skeptical about how like sex would fall under this.
Well,
But like,
yeah.
so even if you're not emotionally involved with whoever you're compulsively having sex with or whatever, there's still a relationship of two people
Okay.
doing
Okay.
it together.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to get graphic, but the reason I mention that one because a lot of people go, you can be addicted to sex, but yes, you can, because the pleasure from having a sexual relationship with someone it fires off those same neurosensors.
Or even the excitement of having a relationship with someone you shouldn't.
Right. That's
Be
okay.
Also
See,
That's
that's why I
another
wonder
one.
if
Yeah,
it's
that's
also
a compulsory
it's
or whatever.
a behavioral thing, because but I mean, maybe all of those addictions are like a little bit of this and a little bit of that, or they could be either one. What else?
Oh yeah, they don't fall under like just one category.
Right.
These are just like really blanket categories.
Right. Okay. So what other things under the relationship category would?
Let me think. Validation.
Oh.
A lot of people seek
reward-seeking behavior.
Yes, reward validation.
Okay. So that would be somebody who always has to be the top of the class, or the
a 3.
Huh?
A 3.
A 3. Yes. What is it in the Enneagram 3? Yes. The people who not just read social media, but need to post and receive feedback on social media, things like that. I've been guilty of that one too. Not the posting on social media, but wanting to hold up the craft project I'm working and have somebody say, "Oh yeah, that's cool." I think we all have some kind of work or something that we do that we try to seek validation in that way.
Well, and I think seeking validation is a normal human thing. But being addicted to validation,
when you can't function without it.
Exactly.
Yeah, you must have
I think that's the thing to understand, is that we all enjoy all of these things.
Right. But it's the degree to which it affects your life. In a negative, controls your life in a negative way. Yeah.
Because when the desire becomes stronger than the will to
do something else. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what was the other category?
There's one more in this this relationship.
Oh, okay.
That I wanted to because I thought this was really, because we're talking about validation.
All right.
And
okay. Yeah.
And love and everything like that. Like a lot of people, and then this shows up in the workplace a lot, is like the drama addiction, the chaos addiction, like
chaos. Yes.
That's really interesting, because I had an ex who was actually, he had addiction problems with alcohol, and he also was addicted to chaos. Like, he needed to stir
the pot.
Up things.
Yeah, stir things up.
Yeah.
I've known people.
And I never really thought about those two things being
related
to but he even said, like, I can't not do it. I just do
it's a compulsion.
Like, it's almost like people who lie. Compulsory lying.
Yeah.
Did I say that right? But he didn't want to stir up chaos, but it's just like he saw the void and must, insert his, input to make things dramatic. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. And it's funny because and I know we've talked about this on the podcast before. I'm kind of the same way. Like, my students call it rage baiting.
Yes.
Because
Trolls.
I must, no matter like what, even if I believe in the scenario or not, I must present the devil's advocate.
Devil's advocate. I play devil's advocate a lot too. I actually do.
Like, and I just do it, and I'll say it just to stir the pot, to get that conversation going.
Yeah. Yeah. And but that is really interesting, because I never really thought of it as an addiction. I thought of it as an annoying habit from people.
Well, I don't know if I would be I don't know if I'm addicted to that, but I like doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think you're addicted to it, because you
doesn't control. You don't do it all the time.
To people that you love just for the sake of doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there are people who do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
For sure. Yeah. And I thought that, I think that's really interesting. And it's like, how people are addicted, or not addicted. I say addicted, but, how people like to watch, and you fall under this, and I do too, soap operas.
Oh gosh. Yes.
But the drama addiction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just humans, we like those type of shows.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it too. Yeah. The
medical dramas,
We were just talking about that earlier tonight. Kristen and I were, how I like police investigatives and medical dramas and things like that. And then also we've talked about watching The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, because I'm addicted to the stupid drama,
Yeah, we've talked about that on the podcast before. Yeah, that's like
so that's relationship addiction in a way, or
in a way, like because it's like two people definitely involved. So it would be like a relationship, because the addiction involves other people.
Right. Okay. That's interesting. I do. That is really interesting.
Because I always think about TV shows being a form of escapism.
Right.
Which is something you can be addicted to, like video games and
Yeah.
TV and reading and those type of things fall into that escapism, and that's one of my like coping.
Right.
I don't think it's a good coping mechanism, because it actually like prolongs whatever.
Well, and that's the thing.
Issue it
and
is.
That's how you know something is an addiction. If it's a way of coping with something and you can't cope with something, or you refuse to cope with something without whatever it is, then that is an addiction.
Yeah. So I actually recently, this is new development, about maybe it was the Easter weekend. I deleted my video games on my phone.
Oh, wow.
So I mean, I still have some games on my phone, like the ones you play for like a few minutes and then you turn your phone off, but the ones that I was playing like online, I turned those off because, well, I not just turned them off. Like, I deleted my accounts. Like, they no longer exist.
Oh, wow. Okay.
On both of the games that I play. So, I found myself, like, just picking up my phone and, like, pushing the buttons. And then...
automatically without thinking about it.
Right. And it's like I was just zoning out, like, escaping to my phone and playing the game. And it became, like, different outlets, like a compulsion, but also an escape.
Mm-hmm.
And I was feeling like emotionally overwhelmed one day, and I was like, I'm just gonna go lay down and like clear my thoughts so I don't like yell or or anything like that, or say something mad. I just wanted to think about my feelings first. But then as soon as I went and sat in peace and quiet, instead of
closing your eyes
closing
and resting.
my eyes and resting or thinking about my feelings, I picked up my phone and I started pushing buttons on the game.
Mm.
And I was like, wow, I have a problem.
Yeah.
Because I can't even feel my emotions. I'm clearly picking up this phone and avoiding it.
Right.
And like, I'm not even happy when I'm doing it because I'm just pushing buttons.
You're
like,
numb. It
yeah,
numbs you.
It numbed me. It wasn't giving me pleasure either.
Yeah.
It was just an escape.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I'm not going to do this. So I stood right there and I deleted my account.
Wow.
And so I've been game free for a while.
Yeah. Couple of weeks now. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been doing good without the game.
More than a couple of weeks.
Scott
by
was
the time
like,
this airs, right.
Scott was like, that was our thing. And I was like, I know, but I'm still here. Like, we have lots of things now,
Yeah.
But, that was where we met. So it was kind of like, I was like, I understand, but
yeah,
it's too much. Like, I got to get off of here. Like, I got to stop playing the game, because.
Well, that's understandable. I had that one game that I played obsessively, Clash of Clans, and I had to.
Yeah.
Yeah. It got me, and I would say like a game like that, and then like a Sims. I used to play Sims, and those two games got me through my parents' deaths.
Right.
They were very like compulsory, and I just like click, 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 click.
Yeah.
And I would, and I still like think about like, oh, I want to pick that up, but no, I really don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I played one while I was going through my breast cancer. I started it I had started it before breast cancer, but I was just playing it every once in a while when I was, at the doctor's office or waiting in line for something or whatever, just very rarely. And then I started playing it more and more and more. And then it became this thing where I had to play it every night before I went to bed. I would play this game and, I got to a really high level and it was like, yay, I'm at this really high level and I'm going to keep playing. I don't want to lose, my streaks or whatever, and it becomes a lot. And now I hardly play it it's still on my phone. I still play it every once in a while when I'm like, sitting in a restaurant by myself and, don't have anybody to talk to while I'm eating my lunch or sitting at a doctor's office or whatever, I'll whip it out and, have a little jab at it. But I just don't play it anymore. But it got me through my breast cancer, so it did. So now, so we talked about the relationship ones. We talked about the behavioral ones. There was a third one? Is that right?
Yeah. So the third one would be like a control type addiction.
Okay.
Like perfectionism.
Oh.
Which is something that I was diagnosed with recently when I started going back to therapy.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't even think that like my behaviors were perfectionistic. But they were, because like, my brain, I refused to move on to the next thing until the one thing I was doing was perfect.
Right.
And that's an addiction. Like,
and we talked about
high standards.
We talked about that thing that perfectionism doesn't mean that you're perfect. I mean, that when we
Yeah.
talked
It
about
means that it immobilizes you
because you
it's not
want to be,
perfect.
because it's not perfect, right? You
Yeah.
want things to be perfect. And it's not even necessarily that you want yourself to be perfect. It's you want everything around you to be perfect. And I have that one. I have that problem a lot. Because I want Christmas to be perfect for everybody, and I want this to be
Yeah.
perfect, and and that one's a hard one. It really is a hard one. I've been learning to let that one go. I was just talking to my friend about that earlier today, and making huge strides in that one. But I mean, it is a problem. So, what other
Okay,
kinds of,
Cindy, I have another one for you.
Oh,
because this one is like totally you.
probably
like, this
me.
Is like, well, it's me too, and it's Kristen. This is all three of us.
Oh, okay.
Busyness.
Oh, yes.
Productivity addiction.
Productivity is an addiction,
Like
and
goal
I am
setting.
addicted to it. I cannot stop, and I will say this is something I am learning to deal with, to stop. The April one little word prompt was about pausing. Pause and notice things around you, right? And do you know how hard it is for me to pause anything? Like learning to meditate has been huge for me. But it's really, I'm busy all the time. In fact, I've had multiple people tell me just this week, you're too busy. But it is. I'm addicted to productivity. I want to be productive, and I feel like I've failed if I'm not productive, right? But sometimes productive is just taking care of yourself, and we'll talk about that on another episode. But yeah, that one I can see, and it's a form of control too, in a way. It is, yeah. So you're controlling your environment by being so busy. You're trying to control the outcome of things, and control the environment around you.
And it falls with perfectionism. Those
Absolutely.
like kind of go
Yeah.
hand in hand. Control, perfectionism,
Right.
productivity addiction. Like all three of those kind of go hand in hand. And I know all three of us are addicted to like all three of those things.
Oh yeah.
Really.
Yeah. I mean, if anybody saw what our schedules look like, they would go, "What are you doing?" Because we're
I know.
all
But
overly
there's
overscheduled.
literally
This,
nothing better than that feeling when you highlight a task after you finish it.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I was just sitting here earlier, checking off my stuff in my planner, and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah,
look at
it's
all the
like,
stuff I got done." Yes.
That's like when Amber eats a donut. I feel the same way.
Yes, yes, it is. It gives you a little high.
I like to do that and check things off my list while eating a donut.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Mhm.
And bacon.
Bacon.
Bacon and donuts. And checking things off my checklist. And
Donut
coffee.
bacon.
And with a drama show in the background.
Yes, and my coffee or my Coke Zero, and
Which is your caffeine addiction.
that's my caffeine addiction.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. So, and it's also in a way a behavioral addiction, because it's not just the caffeine. I'm addicted to that sipping, that having that drink and sipping, and in the same way that having a cigarette addiction is not just about the nicotine. It's also about bringing that thing to your mouth and doing something with your hand and doing something with your mouth, And when you break those addictions, you have to find, I don't even want to say a substitute, because you don't want to get
breaking.
That's not breaking it, right?
Substituting.
But like when I quit smoking, I found other things to do so that I wasn't thinking about that physical aspect of the smoking. And once I disrupted the patterns long enough, and I mean, I disrupted all my patterns, but once I disrupted those patterns, those physical patterns of like getting up from a dinner and going outside and smoking a cigarette, or getting in my car and lighting a cigarette before I even pulled out of the drive. Once I broke those patterns and not replace them with another activity, but just broke those patterns, then I was over the addiction. And I know a lot of people who still are addicted to the patterns, and they reach for their front pocket to pull their cigarettes out of their front pocket, or they want to go sit on the porch still and smoke a cigarette, even though they haven't smoked a cigarette in 20 years. And it's because they never broke that part of the behavioral addiction to the cigarettes. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's tough. Like, you know, and a lot of people do that, not just with cigarette addictions, but like, say, gaming addictions. You're like, I'm gonna, get rid of this one game only to turn around and start playing another.
different
I
one.
know,
Yes,
I
yes.
know. I
Yeah.
literally said I got rid of the game, but I did pick up a different game.
Oh.
It's like I just picked up like something else, but it wasn't, something that I click on all day.
Right.
So like at nighttime when we're watching TV and it's relax mode, I've been playing on my little game, but I'm not picking it up when I'm on the toilet. And when I wake up in the morning, it's not the first thing that I do.
Right.
And it's not the
Yeah.
last thing I look at when I go to bed.
Right.
And I'm not checking it on my lunch break. And,
Well, And I had a thing with my email. Like, I would check my email a gazillion times every day.
That's an addiction too.
It is an addiction.
And honestly, I think that goes with like, just checking, because there is dopamine rush when you get something good.
Right.
So and
Yeah, you get an email and you're like, hey, let's look at
Yeah.
that email.
Yeah. But I've learned to I check my email in the morning. I not first thing when I get up, but I delay that gratification. I have some coffee and I relax and I do a couple of things and I do some journaling and stuff in the morning. And then when I start my work day or whatever, then I go check my email. And I will run through all the emails that's there and clear out it's not really clearing out my inbox, but clear out all the new stuff out of my inbox. And then I turn off, I close the email program or whatever, and I don't look at it again until late in the afternoon or early evening. And then I'll look at it one more time later in the day, just to make sure, see if somebody responded to some email that I sent earlier in the day, or if there's anything I need to take care of before I close out my day. And then I try not to look at it again until the next day. And that's really hard. And that I have a hard and fast rule. I do not have email on my phone. So if somebody wants something from me and they're doing it by email, they're going to have to wait until the morning or the afternoon. If it's something urgent, they know to call me, because they can call me and we can take care of whatever it is right then. And I'm not addicted to talking on the phone, so it's not a problem. But, if I'm sitting there all day checking my email, waiting for somebody to call me back or, message me back, that's a waste of my time. And, it's kind of like waiting for validation, in a lot of ways. So I don't do it anymore. And I don't want it on my phone, and people think I'm crazy, but it took all the drama out of it by not having it on my phone. So have we missed any other kinds of addictions?
Not really. No, we've kind of like touched on a little bit of everything.
Well, and I mean, technically, you could become addicted to anything that you are dependent on, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean, it could be like we said, even exercise, or brushing your teeth, or if it becomes obsessive, then it's a problem. So, what should somebody do if they suspect they have an addiction of any kind?
Oh, that's a very good question. Well, I would say, like, if you suspect that you have an addiction, then you need to start with like becoming more aware of, like, and you've talked about this earlier in this episode, like becoming more aware of how you really get into that addiction.
Right.
like a good way to like become more aware for those that you know, don't do this. A good way would be tracking.
Yes, which I did with when I quit smoking. That was
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I was taught to do was to for 2 weeks, or no, it was a week before, I had to track every time I had a craving for a cigarette, and what I was doing and how I felt and all those things, and it that was what
Yeah.
helped me recognize those patterns, so that and I did this before I tried to quit, and I will be honest here, just to let people know, I did use Chantix to quit smoking, and I had tried to quit smoking many times before, unsuccessfully and reluctantly even, and I did it because everybody told me I should, and I felt like I should, but I didn't really want to. And so when I really did get to the point where I wanted to quit, um, I went on Chantix, and I used their they provided a free online support system. So I got a daily email and all kinds of tips and things to do. And then I also joined a news group, Usenet news group, so a bulletin board service, whatever you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
chat group that was a bunch of people trying to quit smoking, and we talked about the problems that we faced and the challenges and tips and all kinds of things, and it was really helpful. But the really big thing that helped me was, like I said, that first week I had to track all those triggers, and every time I had a craving, I had to write down what time it was, what I was doing, what
Mm-hmm.
set it off. And that was what made me realize, well, I always smoke the first, the minute I get in the car, I put my seatbelt on and light a cigarette before I start the car and pull out of the driveway. And I get up from the dinner table and I put my plate in the sink and I go sit on the porch and smoke. And before I go to bed, the last thing I do is go smoke a cigarette before I come in and go to bed. And once I identified all those things, it wasn't hard to figure out what the patterns were and to disrupt the patterns. And once you disrupt the patterns enough, then it helps you to break the habit. So um, it's hard to break habits, and habits don't form easily. They form over long periods of time of doing the same thing. And the longer you've had a habit, the harder it is to break it. And but I think it's important not to just break the physical addiction or the action that you're doing or the chemical that you're addicted to, but also to address the emotional aspects of it and the things that trigger it. What are you thinking? What are you masking? What are you trying to make better by doing whatever it is, the behavior that you're addicted to? So,
Mm-hmm. So yeah, what you were talking about, tracking and awareness, and then a support. You had support as well.
mhm.
Support is also a good one. Like joining a support group. Alcoholics have Alcoholics Anonymous.
Mhm.
There are food addiction support groups, sex addiction support groups, gaming addiction support
Right.
groups, and those will always will help you with addiction recovery. Some other like psychological suggestions I have would be like if you have an urge to do that addictive thing, like I want to go eat something or whatever, uh delay it, like
Right.
tell yourself something like, wait 10 minutes, and then
Mhm.
maybe the compulsion when it will go away.
Right. Which it often
Or
does.
do something
I know.
else
I was
like
just
drink
thinking
water.
that, like, if I was going, oh, I need a cigarette, or pick up my phone, right? If I just left my phone there and I looked at it and I said 10 more minutes and I went to go do something else, my ADD brain would go off and do something else and totally forget
about it.
Yeah.
Because and that's a really good thing.
Yeah, honestly, and I think that's the struggle I have is the ADD plus the OCD is like this perfect little storm, because my ADD gets bored and I need the dopamine, the stimulation, and the OCD is like doesn't let things go. So as soon as I go, I need this or I want this, OCD is like must have,
right?
You know, and then I do it without having that course correction or slow down. You don't need that right now, or you know, is that really what you want?
Right.
Yeah. And so I struggle with that because a lot of my, you know, behavior patterns, I don't even realize like I do them, like the shopping.
Right.
Or, you know, the eating. You know, I just get up and I go eat. I don't think like, oh, I'm hungry. I just walk over there, open a fridge, and I start eating something. And then I'm like, what am I doing?
Right.
You know, it's like so second nature.
And my cigarettes were the same thing. You know, like I said, I would get up from the table, I'd put my plate in the sink, and I'd go sit outside and smoke a cigarette. But by disrupting that pattern, what I started doing was taking my plate to the sink and I started washing the dishes. And so that 30 minutes of washing the dinner dishes before I smoked made me not want the cigarette anymore.
Yeah.
I broke that pattern. And because I was already past the chemical, you get past the chemical addiction of nicotine in about, well, it's less than a week. I think it's about 3 days, if I'm not mistaken, once you've detoxed from it. And so then the only thing you're addicted to is the behaviors. And so by changing that behavior and washing the dishes instead of going to sit outside, and so now I can get up from dinner and I can go outside and it's not associated with smoking anymore. I can go sit on my porch, or I can go wash the dishes, or I can do anything else, and I don't think about a cigarette at all. So, yeah.
Yeah, so, and you did that, you delayed it, and then with the dishes, you replaced it.
Well, but I'm not addicted to replacing.
You're not addicted.
Well, no,
I'm not addicted to the dishes.
It's not like replacing. Yeah, it's not replacing it with another addiction.
Right. Because
it's replacing with something else, like going for a walk.
Right. But some people do. I mean,
doing the dishes.
They think that they're breaking their addiction, but they're just really changing the addiction to something else.
No, I'm not saying like you should have replaced your cigarettes with alcohol, or you should have replaced your cigarettes with a donut. I'm saying,
but a lot of people do. They'll start eating like sunflower seeds healthy or something, you know. And so I didn't really replace the addiction. I just changed the behavior. Yeah, some people get addicted to chewing gum.
Yeah, and it seems harmless, but
you still have the addiction.
When you spaz out because you're out of gum,
then you have that you still have the same problem. I don't spaz out because the dishes are dirty. I'm not addicted to washing the dishes. Believe me, I hate washing dishes. But it was just a disruptor to that routine, and now I can do anything. You know, and it wouldn't even have to be doing dishes. I could have done anything. I could have gone for a walk or you know.
So
that's what I was saying.
For like phone, like if you're addicted to picking up your phone and checking whatever, like just checking your phone, because even that itself, like people pick up their phone and look at it and then they get stuck on it.
Yeah.
So putting your phone somewhere where it's not in your hands, accessible to arm's reach, would be disrupting it. It
disrupt the routine.
Obviously, you may find yourself doing something else, but then at least you notice the pattern. Right. Because then you go, oh, wait, I was trying to go for my phone, and then I started like picking at my elbow, or, you know. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, that kind of falls into like when you're talking about moving or making it harder, like reducing access to things that make you addicted to, like like removing the apps from your phone, or setting like a screen time thing on your phone.
Yeah.
That is also helpful. Like, don't just throw away your phone.
Yeah.
Just take the apps off and make it like harder for you to access
Try to reduce the temptation and make it harder to access. That makes absolute perfect sense. And just disrupt the routine. Every time you want to pick up your phone, talk yourself into doing something else. Not even the same thing, something else. Any other thing, something else. And, that delayed gratification, if you still want to pick it up in 10 minutes, pick it up and do a quick check and then put it back down or whatever. But delay that gratification and, see if you can make that feeling go away. Yeah. So, was there anything else we needed to cover?
No, like we've talked about the pretty much everything, and like I want to leave it with like this last thing is that like when it comes to addiction, being honest with yourself is key.
Oh yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Being honest and tracking, and like removing the problem, or because like if you're addicted to snack food, then don't buy snack food. If you're like bored at your desk and you find yourself snacking and snacking and snacking, then like don't bring snacks to your desk. Like delete the apps from your phone.
Don't buy the pack of cigarettes.
Exactly. Don't buy the pack of cigarettes.
Yeah. Don't have if you have an alcohol problem, get rid of the alcohol in your home. Even if other people in your home drink, they can live, unless they're addictive too. They can live without the alcohol if it helps you to resist that temptation, or put it in a locked cabinet where someone else has the key, where someone who's not addicted to it has the key and can help you not have access to it, right?
Yes, exactly. And it's I know in this world of everybody wanting instant gratification, it's a process,
right,
to get rid of the addiction.
And just because you I know a lot of people who try to quit smoking and they'll sneak a cigarette and then they regret it. Don't look at it as a failure. Look at it as, I went this long without one. I bet I can go even longer than that.
Yeah.
If I don't pick up another one. Don't just let that slip keep you from continuing on that journey of being addiction free.
And see, a lot of people will do that too. They'll smoke that cigarette and they'll be like, "Oh man, I smoked a cigarette. I'm
hosed. I might as
well. I'm gonna smoke like 20 more today."
Yeah. Don't let yourself do that. Don't let that be an excuse to slip back into it. So.
I do that a lot with food.
I do too.
You know what? I think the thing with food is because it has become a punishment tool with dieting.
Yes.
It's become it's also a necessity. And then
right,
it's
you can't
also
not eat. Right.
Right. So first and foremost, it's a necessity, but then we turned it into like, what do you call that? Reward.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it is a reward, because your birthday, you get cake.
Right.
On,
during the holidays, there's fancy food.
Celebratory, you go out for steak or something, right? A nice dinner. So it becomes a reward, and it becomes punishment. Like, oh, you didn't, exercise enough, so you have to eat a salad, right?
Yeah.
Or punish yourself.
Yeah. Right.
And so that reward and punishment crosses. Right? And then when you have a bad day, you treat yourself with a reward,
right,
as a coping mechanism as well. And so then now there's like even more cross lines of confusion about the food. Right. So you cannot use food as a punishment tool or
a
reward because you are getting addicted to the coping mechanism itself, not the food. Right? It's no longer about the food. It's about coping mechanism because you're like, well, I had a tough day, so I'm going to treat myself to something nice.
If you have a tough day, deal with the tough day.
Yeah.
Process the tough day. Go journal about it. Yeah.
Journal about it.
Talk to a friend about it. Yeah.
Yeah, text. I know that's like phone addiction, but text or call somebody about it.
Yeah.
Schedule a meeting, schedule a therapy appointment.
Right.
Do all those things, and it'll be good.
I think so. Yeah.
So what are we talking about next week?
Well, I kind of feel like next week is an extension of this conversation.
It really is. Yeah.
In a sense. So we're talking about self-care versus self-soothing. So I think we're going to pick up on a lot of things that we just put down today.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be talking about like actually taking care of yourself versus what you think you're treating yourself with to take care of yourself.
Right. Yeah.
Sounds great.
Awesome.
So guys, if you're just now tuning in to our podcast, you enjoyed our podcast, give us a like and a share. Leave us a comment. Email us at info@modernmusings.net. Check out our Facebook group, MMC Chat, or check us out on social media, Modern Musings MMC. We have TikTok. We have Instagram. We have Facebook. So check us out and check out some of our other episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. They're all available anywhere you get your podcasts.
Yep. And we will see you next week.
She does that on purpose.
Bye.
Bye.